Okay, so I'm going to curse in this video because I'm angry and I can't not curse when I'm angry, so it's best we all just accept that from the start and, let's just move on. Okay, so this bastard you're about to listen to right here is, I don't know what his name is some galactically superfluous turd who works for sci-fi for some reason, is about to explain to all of us why it's okay for film critics to lie to your face and get paid to do so that they can continue to gain access and preferential treatment from film studios. Let's give it a listen.
Are you ready to watch me try to thread this needle?
Sure.
Because I have a take on this that I haven't heard. So
we need a drum roll.
No, it's
Okay,
this. No. All right. So here's the thing. What I hear time and again, and the reason why I don't really engage, but I do listen to people. They talk about, the problems of access media. And they talk about it in a way that's very conspiratorial, which I think is not terribly realistic, that, everybody's a shill, everybody's getting that Disney cash. No. But here's the actual reality.
I was going to say, have you been on mentions lately?
Here's where we actually are in the industry. If you want to talk about, quote, access media.
Sure.
Every single person that wants to have access to things early, that wants to get access to things so that traffic is drawn to their site, will, on occasion, everybody at this podcast, everybody in our industry occasionally has to play softball, occasionally has to, look the other way a little bit. Everybody has to do it.
Wait, we're trying what? Like a movie
in the sense that, I hated a movie, but I won't say that I hated the movie, or an actor behaved a sort of way and you don't want to, put it out there that happened.
Right, because you might not get the next review.
Right.
To
some degree, everybody in our industry that is a part of this quote unquote access media has to sort of decide which battles they want to pick, right? Which are the ones where my voice is the one that has to get said, right?
Yeah.
And I think that this is the source. This is a thing that people are aware of. I think that they blow it up to be larger than it really is. But okay, let's acknowledge what I believe to be a truth, which is that. And as far as what
Okay, I think that's enough of that. Okay, so where does one begin with this avalanche of bullshit we just listened to? You know what? Actually, it's not an avalanche of bullshit. I'm going to give this prick credit. He's being honest for once. He's telling the truth. I have been complaining for years about the gradual acceptance of mediocrity from film critics. Back in the 80s and stuff, I remember film critics at the time, of course, grew up watching Siskel and Ebert, and I can remember film critics at the time getting irritated with movies for being overly formulaic and seeing the same sort of stuff over and over and over again. And sometimes even formulaic movies could be entertaining and fun, but those were exceptions to the rule. Now it's the rule. Formula... Look at this. I was just looking at the Marvel Cinematic Universe on Rotten Tomatoes. Look at these scores. Look at this. All of these movies, and I'm sorry if there are Marvel fans watching. You got Iron Fist in there. It's got a bad one. All of these movies are mediocre at best. They're all basically the same. And I think that, some of them are perfectly inoffensive. But some of them, like, where is it? Where is Thor: The Dark World? Where is that piece of shit? Where are you at? I can't even find... There it is. It's got a 67. I think if it were released today, it would probably have an 80, somewhere around there. We've seen this slow, gradual increase of the acceptance of mediocrity, and I think there are several reasons for it. Well, now we know. Now we fucking know why we've had this gradual acceptance of mediocrity. And yet they're going to sit around and they're going to tell fans that I should have played the lead into this, because the lead into this was the three of these assholes sitting here talking about why it was a good thing that Rotten Tomatoes took away movie ratings for movies before they're out, because we don't want people to have a voice in that. It was being quote unquote abused. Let me explain something to these morons who apparently don't understand the way the Rotten Tomatoes system worked, which Rotten Tomatoes has been a wildly overblown site for many years now, and I'll go into that in a minute. But what they had was called a want to see meter. Are you interested in seeing the movie? Yes or no. It was not a rating of the movie. It wasn't a rating of, I saw the movie, this is what I think of it. They were not review bombing the site, which is what these fools on these podcasts and on these hack sites keep saying is what was going on. That's not what was happening. People were saying, do I want to see this or not to see this? And this was specifically in reference to Captain Marvel, another one of these boring, generic, CGI marinated movies with formulaic plots that we've seen over and over. I think this is the 21st one, I think Captain Marvel is. Over and over and over again. The same shit. Over and over and over again. People went on the site, and because they didn't like the star, because she's annoyed a lot of people for some reason, or maybe for real reasons, I don't know. I didn't really keep up with it, but they went on, and it was overwhelmingly no. Well, we had to put a stop to that, didn't we? Had to put a stop to that. So I think it was last week or the week before, Rotten Tomatoes announced specifically to protect this multi-billion dollar, well, not multi-billion dollar, but multi-million dollar Disney production, to protect that from people having opinions about it online, that we had to get rid of that feature. Now, I don't give a shit about whether or not people rate movies on Rotten Tomatoes. I couldn't care less. I think Rotten Tomatoes is a pretty shitty site anyways, because to take a movie review and say it's only good or it's only bad and there's nothing in between, you're going to create a positivity bias by doing that, because you're going to take mediocre reviews, and because they didn't hate the movie, you're going to say, well, I guess it was okay. That's what's going to happen. And that's what Rotten Tomatoes has done. That's why other sites like Metacritic would be a good example, try to counter this problem. Metacritic is much harder with its score. Now, Metacritic has problems, too, with the way it assigns its scores. But any time, and this is why Roger Ebert used to rail about this, you know, people just look at the thumbs up, the thumbs down, or the stars. That's not what's important. What's important is that you read the review. But here on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm looking at Ant-Man and the Wasp here, which has an astonishing 88%. To me, if you're at 88%, you should be in Amadeus territory. You should be in movies that are so good they basically don't have any dissenters. And even people who didn't like them couldn't even tell you why, because they probably just fell asleep, because it wasn't their type of movie. And that's a huge fucking problem. So now we know. Now we know why that's the case, too. Now we know. We know there's another thing. So a lot of these people, a lot of us who have been sitting around wondering why this phenomenon has been going on, why is it that all of a sudden all of these thoroughly mediocre movies are getting these like 88, 95% reviews when we watch them and they're not even close to being that good? Well, now we know, because sometimes you just have to play softball, don't you? You got to play softball. Yeah, you got hit with a softball upside your head. I hope every one of you bastards gets haunted tonight. I hope all of you shills get haunted, but you know what? You are all going to be visited by 3 ghosts. It's a critic's carol. Expect the first when the bell tolls 1. It's Gene Siskel, and he's going to walk you through all the hack puff pieces and yellow journalism you've all been churning out over the years and have been denigrating criticism all the while. And he's going to show you where you went wrong. And expect the second when the bell tolls 2. And that'll be Roger Ebert. And he's going to walk you through the present and show you what the world will look like if your worthless asses weren't in it, and how good film criticism would be. And the third, more mercurial, is Pauline Kael, and she will arrive at her own good goddamn time. And when she reads to you her review of Ishtar, you're going to have an epiphany and realize, oh, you know what? She's talking about me when she says how worthless it is. And then you're going to change your ways, and you're going to learn life lessons, you miserable motherfucker. Okay, I've calmed down. Sorry about that. That was a bit of a rant there. Look, criticism has been suffering for a long time now, and don't even get me started on gaming criticism. It's 10 times worse. It doesn't even have a tradition to draw upon. It's always been a giant hunk of lint. We don't lie to our audience. A critic is not just some asshole with an opinion. That's anybody. Everybody's got an opinion. A critic should be different. A critic should be two things. They should be reasonably knowledgeable about what they're talking about whatever the hell it is that they're critiquing, because otherwise, why the fuck would we even be listening to your ass? And they should be honest. They should be honest. They should tell you what they really think. It doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong. Who's to say if they're right or wrong half the time? It's art. It's subjective. But it's fun. A lot of people like to dump all over critics, but you know what? We love them. We fucking love that shit. We love reading other people's opinions, especially strong ones. We even love ones we don't agree with. We love it. It's part of the process. It's part of how art is made. If we don't have opinions on art, then why the fuck are we bothering with it to begin with? And that's all I got to say. And we need knowledgeable, honest opinions, not playing softball with Disney or whoever else on your yellow journalism ass so you can go to cocktail parties and get red carpet access and get advanced access to movies. This is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And it needs to stop. Thanks for listening.